Yeah, I think if you start looking at mentorship, the question also comes about, so what's the difference between a mentor and a coach? With a coach, and I'll use a sporting analogy, a coach typically sees the potential and knows how to get the individual to perform well enough the core competencies to have an outstanding athletic performance. Similarly, within the business coaching environment, a coach sees the potential and just helps guide and hold accountable that entrepreneur to ensure that they meet key milestones to get an outstanding performance. In a mentor-mentee relationship, mentorship is really a sharing, and typically a mentor relationship, there's got to be a willing party on both sides, whereas with a coaching relationship, you can go and employ any coach. Obviously, you'd like to have some good chemistry, but you'd like to go with a coach that's had a good track record. With a mentor relationship, you're seeking guidance and counsel from somebody who's been there and done it before. So I think that's where the key difference lies. So as an entrepreneur, I think it's essential. Anybody, in fact, you don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur. Everybody out there should consider having a mentor relationship.
I think if I had to give advice to a business in terms of inviting criticism into their business, or whether it's from a mentor or any other people playing a role in their business, is that they need to be able to be open. One of the things that we look at specifically at Property Point when we do our selection is that what's the level of compatibility that we have with the business, and what's the business openness to learning. They need to be able to be teachable. The way we monitor that is that there needs to be a high level of accountability. So whenever we're working with a business and providing some direction, we always follow up and say, okay, what have they done with that direction? Have they been able to implement it into the business? If not, why not? And understand where they are at in terms of, is it because they don't agree with the advice that was given? Or is it because they're just not open and able to learn? And if that commitment is not there to learn from others, it doesn't become an easy relationship. So the biggest thing for businesses is always be open and teachable.
The person being mentored needs to drive it. They are the ones who need to book the meetings in your diary. They are the ones who need to bring the agenda, follow up the next day, the next month on what was achieved. If they are not driving it, then they don't have the passion to see it through. If you ever are a mentor and you find yourself calling your mentee and going, well, when are we next meeting again? It's dead in the water.
Very definitely, successful entrepreneurs generally have mentors, and sometimes they're not called mentors. Sometimes they're called other things, and sometimes they could even be family members, like an uncle. And they need to come with a couple of characteristics. Number one, you have to trust them. Number two, they have to have some level of authority in your mind. Number three, they have to be speaking sense. Even if it doesn't make sense to you in the moment, it might make sense a little later. And I think there has to be an ability to challenge you, okay, and challenge where you're at. Good mentors in your life are the ones that challenge you. And sometimes it's just to ensure that you've thought through a process properly. Sometimes it's to give you a different perspective. Sometimes it's to encourage you and say, go for it. It's the right thing to do. And sometimes when you're down and out and saying, it's not over, tomorrow's another day, you can start again, and they help pick you up. So I think mentors are very important in your journey.